going on?
We're filming.
Where are we?
Question and answer. We're at Island Gaming. Or Island Games.
It's really cold.
It is. They don't have the heater on because they're cheap. But anyways.
You didn't hear that. It's still true.
Hey guys, this is David from Vanguard.
Oh, hi, Daniel from Vanguard.
Oh my god, Joey's here!
Hi,
Who?
Joey from Vanguard.
What?
Who is this?
And then we got Ian.
Guest star.
Guest star. Best
Do you have
officer.
any username that you go by?
The best.
The best.
Number
The
two.
best.
Number 2.
He's the
Alright.
best. So he says.
But he's gonna help us do some question and answers that people have been asking about. So, alright, let's do this.
Okay, so the first question we have for the three of you is, what games do you play and why do you like those certain games that you do play?
Alright, so let's go with the easy one. They know that I play Vanguard and Buddy Fight.
So why Buddy Fight?
I love the anime. I love the girl on the YouTube. No.
Good answer. But seriously though, is it a good game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, what's the word? It has interactions, which I like, out of Vanguard, and it's Bushiroad related game, so might as well like give it a try. It's a very good game, and then Vanguard, as you know, we just play because we love the game, and that's why I have a channel for it.
Next, I play Vanguard, of course, and I also play. Recently, I've been playing on ZX Ignition.
Fun. It's a good game.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the game before, but it's one of the games by I think I don't know the exact company name, but they produce a lot of the Broccoli. There you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah!
Broccoli and some other company, but yeah, I think that it's their collaboration work, and yeah, the game's really fun. I kind of have to caution myself when I say this, but it is pretty balanced, kind of like the gameplay itself at least.
Is it new?
It's actually not that new. It's been out for several years now, or a few years now, and I think they're at like I'm not sure, 12, 13, at least like past 10.
Maybe that's what it's
But well, the balance itself comes from the fact that there are two kind of like a luck factor that you can top deck a card, or there is a damage where you flip a card, and if it's a certain card, then you either heal or you can destroy your opponent's monster. So it balances out that you're taking damage, but you can also get a chance at crippling the opponent's field or healing. So there is kind of a balance factor there, but it's a really fun game overall, and I do suggest some people do go and check it out if you guys are curious.
Okay. For me, I play one Vanguard. That's how this guy got me into this. I barely play. I try not to play at all. The meta is just, I couldn't keep up with it. I also play Weiss. There are very few Weiss players here in Virginia, so it's really hard to play or even attend tournaments because there are no tournaments. I recently got him into Weiss.
Weiss was fun. I actually
He learned this morning.
or last month or morning.
Yes, Weiss is a Bushiroad card game where I wouldn't say it's balanced. It's more, if you play, you're there to enjoy the game. You're not there to like be serious about the game. It's not a serious game. I also play Magic. Magic not as much. I stopped after the most recent rotation for Counter-Strike. From what I've been keeping up from the standard forums and all that stuff, just got really OP, and the meta's really changed from what I knew, so it's been a while since I played Magic. I play, what else do I play? I got Magic, Weiss, Vanguard. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does that even count anymore?
I mean, it's a card game.
Or it's a card game that I know how to play, I have decks. Yeah, casually.
I just don't say it because
Even though we say casually, we don't even know half the shit that comes out.
yeah.
True. So, no, don't really play that. Yeah.
Since Ian's here as a guest, how about you?
Basically, I have been keeping up with Vanguard knowledge-wise, but I don't build Vanguard decks to win tournaments, so I don't own any of the current, what's considered the English meta right now, because for me, I don't play Vanguard to win tournaments. I play Vanguard for interaction with my friends who play Vanguard, and because I find a certain plan to be interesting to follow. I recently got into Weiss because, like Joey said, it's a really carefree game. You don't need to really focus. You don't have to learn a lot of the different interactions of the game to have fun with it, which is why I even bothered playing in the first place. Because to me, if I don't have to, I'm the kind of person who likes a game that can challenge me in the respect that I have to learn how to play it to a point where I have to, like, not necessarily win with it, but understand every aspect of the different moving parts. But with Weiss, I don't know, I didn't need to do that to be able to still have fun with the game. I didn't feel like I was being at a disadvantage when I was playing against someone who did understand it, just because it's that kind of game that you can go into knowing nothing about. And as long as you keep asking, like, what am I supposed to do next? As long as you have the patience to play it, then you can enjoy the game. So I've been investing in that recently. Those are the only two games that I'm currently playing card-wise.
Next question.
Our next question is, how do you think English Vanguard meta is doing right now? And by that, I think we're trying to ask what direction is it going in?
So let's start with the sets. Set 16 was recently released, correct?
And I think it's more important to focus on the meta that we see here at our local instead of focusing as a whole, because every local scene is going to be very different, and the only time we're going to see the whole meta is only when we go to the regional, which hasn't happened yet after these releases. So we're only going to be focusing on the meta that we have seen here, just to let you guys know.
Honestly, the meta here in Virginia-wise, I can't.
Paladins.
No, well, I mean, yeah, Paladins, but like I can't really say it's accurate in meta because a lot of people here just play casual. But like Joey says, Paladin is actually dominating the meta here currently. But if you go to places like New York, I mean,
California,
it's still Paladins though, but like at least like they'll show some kind of performance in other decks as well. But it's right now, I think in general, it's just Paladins, Abyss, Gold, Seekers are probably the top tier decks at the moment.
So what are your opinions on the upcoming set 17? How do you think that'll change the meta? Is Kagero's going to take the stage once again, take it away from Seekers, and
This man here.
this guy? You think Riser's going to have a seat?
I honestly think
Risers are going to dominate.
Risers are going to have a, at least, like, I wouldn't want to say dominate, but more like they will have a very, very big presence in the meta. They'll have a very looming presence over the meta.
So whenever we go to regionals, we're going to be like, oh my god, is this guy playing Risers? Is that going to happen?
Yeah.
The first off is that Risers, I don't think it's going to be that expensive, so it's going to be very affordable for many people. And as well as the fact that the key piece is very, very not hard to get. So,
So let's talk about the key piece. In Japan, this guy is what, banned or
Limited
play
to
one?
two.
limited to two.
Okay, do you think Bushiroad here is gonna?
Honestly, they can't do that until regionals where the performance.
Yes,
they have to actually see the performance. But the problem is, at that time, when we have regionals here, it's gonna be like what? April, May, June, July, right? It's gonna be like around 4 months. I'm pretty sure at that time it's gonna be stride format. So I'm pretty sure they don't even have to hit the buff rate itself because the meta is gonna be different at the time. I mean, they might hit it, but the
meta here, the fact about the meta here is that American meta changes very frequently compared to Japanese meta. And Japanese meta have a time to actually settle in to the new meta that comes in. They can actually adapt and experience the new meta for quite a while before changing over. But here, it's like literally every month we're getting new set.
We just got 16, and now we already are looking at 17.
Yes, exactly. So our meta is going to be very different from Japanese meta, and I cannot emphasize that enough. So that's why when people ask like, oh, do you think this is going to be banned, or do you think Bushiroad is going to do this or that, you know, we can't really base it off of the fact that they did this in Japan because of the simple fact that our meta is going to be very different.
Okay, so for set 17, one last question is, who will be more dominant, the Great or Riser?
That's half and half though, because
Yeah, this is honestly.
see, this is what Kagero players say in general. They just say we'll blow up cat dollars, but you know what Risers players say? We'll keep our hand until we're ready, and we're just gonna explode one turn. That's all we need.
Honestly, for this question, it's really opinion, and I
And
honestly.
there's Blaster Joker too. It can't be 2 decks. I'm
Is
pretty.
that in set 17?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
looking at 3 decks that are gonna
Star
pop.
Raiders and the Great Riser, Metalborg, and Musketeers, right?
Yes.
Musketeers is really underrated. What do you think about that?
I think it's underrated because people don't play it enough.
I mean, right now, even with since we had like set what, like 13 come out. Okay, yeah, even earlier than that, no one has visited Musketeers in a really long time. So people aren't used to maybe the shifting playstyle that is required for playing Musketeers, because most of these decks are pretty straightforward. I'm not going to call them simple because they're not. You do need to give some of these new decks that are coming out some thought to be able to win. But Musketeers is going to require another level of concentration for the pacing of the game that you're going to play, because the way their effects work aren't quite what we're currently dealing with. So like you said, because the meta is so quickly changing here in the United States, I feel like people might not have enough time to experiment with it. So I don't know how many people are actually going to bring it to a tournament that they intend to win with. It might be more of like a project on the side that they might want to investigate.
People want to win. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
here it's different from Japan, because in Japan, they don't care. They simply don't care. Like Weiss, like you guys play Weiss for fun. There, they play Vanguard for fun. Weiss might be their main game. I don't know, but they play for fun. Here, people want to win. They want to go into tournaments. They want to put their name up. You know.
All right, let's move on to our next question, which is
Okay, so this has been very, very interesting lately. So Bushiroad USA has been pushing up the release dates of the cards that are coming out in Japan for us here in the United States. We used to have to wait about a year between when the release was in Japan for here, which would give us plenty of time to see
Example,
how.
Chaos Breaker.
Yeah, Chaos Breaker, for example. We saw it like coming from like a mile off, and we had time to think about it and see how Japan reacted to it and see what was good against it to learn to play against it. Now they're pushing it up faster. Why are they doing this? And maybe some of the impact of what that would have.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know the exact answer to that. I don't know what Bushiroad's thinking.
Well, I think they want to, like, buddy fight. Like, the English and Japanese meta are the same for buddy fight. So I think they're tempted to do the same thing with Vanguard, because Vanguard is now a popular game compared to, like, years before when, you know, when we started with set 1 and nobody cared about it. Now it's actually picking up a pace where, like, it's a good game. A lot of people are playing, like, you know, when we went to New York Regional last year, like, it was too full. Like, they had to do they were forced to do around 0. So that means like we're getting more audiences than we're expecting every year.
Yeah,
so
I
I think that's why they're trying to combine the sets.
Yeah, I think the back then when Bushiroad first introduced Vanguard here, it was kind of uncertain. Like they weren't sure how they should go about it. But now that I honestly think that Vanguard kind of established Bushiroad's presence here as a kind of a company here. Like with I honestly think that Vanguard kind of popularized you know, a lot of the Bushiroad's games here as well. I think that it's been a really big influence.
I mean, if Vanguard didn't exist, Buddy Fight, Weiss would
Yeah,
have
I don't think anyone would have ever discovered those without the
I mean, I guess Weiss,
original presence.
people
Yeah.
would have looked for it, but like Buddy Fight or Vanguard, like,
Vanguard really did it for Bushiroad. It was
Yeah.
definitely a huge success.
Something that needs to be considered is that Bushiroad is a company, and the anime is continuing. It has a whole new season now. We're getting the new generation cards and whatnot. And so the question is,
bad anime.
I mean, even if it is a bad anime, most people our age don't want to watch it. If it has a certain background, they'll keep making cards in the game
Right.
for an audience that they originally targeted. Just because we ended up picking it up and playing it, and it became bigger than they thought, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to change their business model from looking at the fact that there are still enough people interested that they're making a whole new season. So whether this is the last season, whether Vanguard's then going to stop releasing new cards, we have no way of knowing. But maybe they're pushing it up forward because they have plans for the future from the anime, and they want to get to that faster because they believe that'll be more towards the audience that they intended in the beginning.
And by doing this, at least in the long run, like we won't have, as we said before, like a very fast-changing meta. If we can catch up to Japan, then we'll have a very normal schedule by then. So we won't have to worry about that in the future.
Okay, well, I brought it up just now, but the next question is thoughts on Stride.
You guys play more than I do. What do you think?
Well, but honestly, we haven't had the chance to.
I mean, I guess the only stride card I ever got to play was that Harmonic Messiah.
Yeah, that card was a box topper.
But the thing I have to say about all the G units is that despite having the triple drive and it looking very overwhelming, the fact is that if you look at a lot of G units, their skills are not that like they're really not like ridiculous like Chaos Breaker or like other like ace units that Busho has introduced. I think I think they're purposely doing that because they know that triple drive check I think is kind of a very huge advantage even though you are paying the cost for stride. But I don't think at the moment we don't have to worry about stride units being very overpowered at the moment. At the moment, we don't know what they're gonna do, but at the moment, I think they're doing a very good measures with how they're designing the G units. I don't think they are overpowered at all. Even the Chronos Command Dragon, he's really like despite it.
That thing was gay.
See, despite it looking very overpowered, like spinning all the cards back into the deck, I don't think it's pretty not that easy to pull off. And the same applies for all the G units as well.
In my opinion, from what I've seen from the Stride in Generation, I feel like the pacing of the game that is required to play those decks, with what we're getting from Legion, I don't think that it's going to change it entirely. I feel like people are going to get into the pace of playing Legion, and then we're going to get Generation here, and then people are going to be hesitant, honestly. Most of the people who are actually playing the game, the ones who have figured the equation out of Vanguard in their mind. Yeah. Like if you think of it as that they
sounds like some
solved.
kind of science.
Well, I mean, card games can become a science if you make it down to that. And people who are winning consistently have figured out some form of how do I make it so that I'm consistently winning. So for those who are playing the game to find that common ground, I believe that generation stuff isn't going to be something that they're going to trust in instantaneously. Because like you said, I don't feel like from reading the cards that are being released, I don't feel like they're going to drastically change. And every turn counts. And I feel like that's really going to be very important coming up with the cards that are being released. Unlike now, we can the game is still kind of fluid. I feel like one turn can start making a really big difference for the cards that are coming out.
And also one thing I'd like to mention is that I really do like the new interactions that the G units have provided for the game as well. G assist, generation break, those kind of things are very they're very it's some of the things I felt about the game is that there weren't sometimes enough interactions with the game. There were so many things that could be explored in the game, and I'm really glad that Bushiro has done this. And I think G-Assist has been a very big step for the game overall, with the inherent flaw in the game being the Great Lock. And the Generation Break provided a new way for us to control our game pacing as well. So I honestly think that Stride and G units, overall, it's not a bad influence for the game at all.
I mean, I tried to stride with some other people because we had the Harmonic Messiah to kind of mess around with. Honestly, I mean, even if the opponent, well, I mean, I don't really judge people, like, but for example, Joey hasn't been playing the game, so let's say if we played, even if you got to stride, like, maybe 2 times more than I did, I don't think, it doesn't really change the result that you got to stride more. It's more of the fact that you are, like, I think the skill level is where it counts from here, from now on, like from Legion format. That's why I enjoyed the Legion format a lot too. But I'm starting from the Legion format, stride. I call it formats because they have different abilities. I mean, I think it's still a skill, like they're bringing out more skills from the players than, yeah, I mean, triple drive, it does require luck, but now you have to actually think about if you want to guard the stride or just guard the air guns and let it go and see if you can.
So let me try to understand what you just said. You're saying that it's not going to be game-changing like Limit Break or Legion or Break Rides. It's not going to be like that, right?
It's the same thing, just you have to play differently is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I played a Nubatama deck with Stride for fun, and the opponent was playing, like, Seekers and stuff. It didn't really change. It was just the fact that I knew better and I knew when to stride and when to back. So I mean, I think
This is
it's gonna be
all
a-
speculation,
right.
so we will have to see what happens.
Right. I mean, this is just estimating. Like, I don't know how it works.
So the next question we have is pretty easy one. I think to answer it is what is the hardest part learning a new card game for people?
You played a lot of card games.
I play a lot of card games, and number one, you have to learn how to read properly. Because, yes, this might sound really stupid, but for card games, there are specific key terms to specific games. Like, you can't just take your knowledge from Vanguard and then put it to Weiss. Yes, the companies are the same, and sometimes the symbols are used interchangeably, but Weiss is, at its base, it's different from Vanguard. And another hard part about learning card games is that you have to go in with the right mentality. You can't go into a card game thinking I have to win whenever I play. No, you can't just do that, and you'll have a very bad time playing card games.
Right, you
Because
have to
if
enjoy
you
it.
play card games, you have to play for fun. And yes,
I mean,
it's
games
good
are
to
fun
want to
too.
win. It's good to want to win. I'm not saying that it's bad to like play winning decks. It's just that you can't always focus on winning.
I mean, games are made for fun in the first place, and then competing is just second, or so for people that like winning, they can win.
And I think learning new card game, I think one of the big factors to learning it more efficiently is having someone, having a friend who can actually teach you or like help you with it, because learning by yourself, especially if you don't actually have the materials, then it's going to be very hard to learn, just like how I was when I first learned ZX. There were literally no one like who plays the ZX
That is true.
So
I mean, that's how I learned too. I learned ZX from
and the thing about it is that I did learn it, but then I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, and that's the thing. So after I got to play with someone who actually knew how to play ZX, it was
Hey Wes.
Hi, Wes.
so I actually now figured out that I was doing the game correctly. So I think having someone in the community who can help you is also a very good way to actually learn new card games. And definitely try to interact with people to actually get to know those people to teach you those things.
Okay, so the last question we have is, what are the top 3 personal favorite decks you guys have for Vanguard? It can be a deck that you enjoyed playing in the past where maybe it was fun, or maybe it was the winning deck. Then it doesn't have to be your top 3 right now.
No, I'm actually, so I'm stopping before I'm 3.
I guess who played Vanguard first among us?
Okay, cool. I'm
Him. Okay, let's go with your opinion.
Well, right now I'm playing my favorite deck, of course, Thanx Abyss. Because I mean, I wanted to play it ever since I started Japanese format, but I really enjoy it. It's really consistent. I barely get great stuff, so that's why I enjoy the deck mostly. So I guess I can say Thanx Abyss / MLB, because I like the consistency of the deck with the Blast Wingo Brave. So I mean, I like that in general. And then I really, I don't know, I just enjoyed almost every deck. I guess Shadow Paladins in general, because that's I played since like set 4 when it first came out. I played like the crappiest build ever, and then I started building up from there. So I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy Nubatamas. Really enjoy it, because I mean, it's a really fun deck for me, but like I guess people don't know about it, so it's really
Nubatamas are really rare. I think he is one of the only very few people on this planet that plays Nubatamas.
Hey Wes. But Wes actually taught me how to play. It was I didn't know how to function at first, but like my friend Wes actually taught me step by step how to work it, and he actually deserves all the credit. But people are calling me one of the best players for Nubatamas, which I'm not. But I love the deck. It has one of the few mechanics that Vanguard should not have. It's called
And
discarding.
destruction.
That should not happen usually in Vanguard, because that's the only thing that they have for interactions, and they're messing with it.
Well, which is why they kind of like rectified the mechanic itself in the set there. Was it set 13? Yeah, set 13. Yeah.
But you can still use set 1 cards. That's why that was a mistake on their part, because you can still use cards. But I mean, they didn't support it enough, so I mean, that's why they suck. But if they got the same support as any other deck, then I think it would have been one of the top cards.
Easily.
Like, at least if they had the same support as Aquaforce, at the least.
You mean Kagero, please.
No, like, at least Aquaforce. Then I can probably kill Kageros with that.
What about Joey? No, you
This,
first.
okay, me first.
I thought you were first. Oh, well.
Let's start from oldest to. I've been playing Vanguard since
Set 1.
No, not set 1.
Didn't you have, like, Ground Deck 1?
I had the Narukami draw deck.
Okay,
That was
so
when I
set
just
six.
set 6 was when I really started. Top 3. I started with Vermilion. That was when set 6 was the biggest. I remember I pulled my first. I didn't trade. I didn't buy. I pulled my first perfect card. That was the real feeling, because those perfect cards were like a lot of money back then.
$15.
10 to 15. I heard Baris were $30 back then.
Because of DN.
Yep.
It's, or actually more like especially because DN came out.
Especially because the end came out. I started with Vermilion. I got really bored with that deck because it was so hard to play. I wouldn't say hard to play. The cost was like really heavy. Counterblast 3.
So you really had to control it.
I mean, I learned how to control it, but it was just too much for me. So what I did was, I spent a lot of money on Tsukiyomi. That deck, I say to this day, is still my favorite deck because of the Generation 1 chain ride, where you check the top 5 cards and you put the bottom, you put the top 5 cards, top 5 order you like, in any order you like, so you get the stack triggers, which is my favorite because in the Tsukiyomi chain ride, you get to fish for. You get to basically draw all the cards until you hit your stack.
You know what you finally when they do it? Back in my day!
Back in my day, Tsukiyomi was the best. And I heard, I went to Team Tourney 2013, I believe. I made that deck half an hour before round 1 started, and I went undefeated until they cut top 8. So I had really little practice with that deck, but I really liked it. My second favorite deck would be Chaos Breaker. I heard that deck was OP.
And you went top 32 with that, right? No, top 16.
I went to Team Tourney 2014 last year with Chaos Breaker, and I also made that because it came out the day before regional.
Yes, it did. And
Yes, it
everyone
did.
got cases and stuff.
And I heard Chaos Breakers were like $40 a piece, the triple rare ones. And I also went undefeated with that deck until they cut top 8.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I think my team made 15th place at top 16.
That's
at,
really good.
At New York Regions. Out of 200 teams there, top 16 is pretty good.
It was 300 people, actually.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why they had to do the round 0 and cut the 100 people off.
Yeah, it was unpleasant. My round 0 when it was great luck. That injury. So, no, but recap was Vermilion. I'm looking forward to that Revival region. Tsukiyomi. I'm thinking of using that stride unit with the Tsukiyomi. You know, the Countless one.
Mystery Flare!
Yeah, that one. It looks interesting. I haven't tried it yet, but we'll look into it. And Chaos Breaker.
Tokyo Tomare!
And for you? Or no, you're next. You're next. You didn't do.
And we'll
We'll end on my 3.
Yeah.
My first one is same as Joey. One of the ones that Joey mentioned. I got into Vanguard when same as him when Set 6 came out, I think.
well, it's because it was set 6 and then it went to set
Yeah. So back then the order was like kind of flip flop, so that's why. But Set 3, before Set 3 came out, I had my eyes on Tsukiyomi for a while because I just like the OTT, like mostly because of their themes, Japanese like Shinto gods and goddesses. Those kind of things I really like. And I looked at their mechanic and they looked really neat. And I looked at this one card. one card. Do you know what that card is? Silent fucking Tom.
Yeah, I heard that card's OP.
Back in my day,
That card was worth a lot of money.
that card could finish games very, very decisively. Alright? So, yeah, but to this day, Tsukiyomi and Ami Amaterasu really holds a special place in my heart because it was the first Vanguard deck that I built. And even though I wasn't that good at it, admittedly, you know, I still really enjoyed playing it. And I like seeing it on the anime when Misaki played it, and she was like, "I know." And then, you know, like those were really good memories, and those were good memories for me. And you know, I'm really hoping that you know maybe Bushiro will put some consideration into. Getting better cards from OTT because honestly speaking, even though OTT did get some really good cards in the latest set, honestly this wasn't really what I was expecting for the OTT support to be. And the fact that all the Gear Chronicles get Silent Tom effect was kind of a kick in the nuts for me as well. So I know a lot of people were thinking of that as well, especially when they got the 9K Silent Tom. So
9K Silent Tom.
So but yeah, OTT in general, OTT deck, Tsukiyomi also deck. The second deck that I wouldn't really want to say that it doesn't really have a special place in my heart like the OTT and Genesis does, but Chaos Breaker deck. Yeah.
He was the one who showed me Chaos Breaker, and I was like, this deck is crazy!
Yeah, I built it when the card was released. It was actually pretty expensive for me to build as well, despite it being Japanese card, but and you know, I built the deck and I tested out a lot of builds, and you know, I started playing it as kind of in a casual match with my friends here in the DMV area, and people were getting really salty with me.
I mean, it was the fact that you wanted to support the channel too, so
yeah, that as well. And I did want to kind of see exactly how the deck worked as well, because honestly, Nebula Lord Dragon, I did get Nebula Lord Dragon when it came out to Japan as well, and honestly, despite Link Jokers being the big bad guys and you know them having this overwhelming presence, it wasn't really what I expected them to be. But when Chaos Breaker came out, I was like, oh, now this is how a villain clan should be.
It felt good to play Chaos Breaker. Even though I shouldn't say that, it felt really good to play that deck.
So you know, like I could taste the salt. I could literally taste the salt that people were throwing at me. So
It's like, if you needed to sack, you play that deck. No matter what, you will do good.
But you know, I am glad that me actually playing them against them. I did hope that it did help them understand how to deal with the deck when it came out in English as well. So, yeah, and you know, even though I wouldn't say Link Joker is my favorite clan at all, but Chaos Breaker Dragon, it's a kind of a weird, like a love-hate relationship, I guess, if you want to call it that. Actually, it's at my home. It's not even here. So.
I have it somewhere.
But and lastly, of course, you guys know me. When the Break Right season came out, I tried out Genesis Clan, and even though it wasn't really what I expected them to be, they were not that great when they first came out. They still kept to the Shinto, like the usual like Japanese goddesses as well. And you know, I kept playing it, and you know, I really liked it. It's like a really straightforward play. Like, I'm not gonna say like, you know, it takes like even though it is straightforward, the deck itself, but it's really fun to play. Especially when Minerva came out, all the like soul blast shenanigans you can do with the witch as well. So it was really fun to play, and to this day, Genesis is probably gonna be my favorite clan. You know, until some other clans prove otherwise.
Like
But
if there's another girly clan, then that one is
Not Bermuda Triangle.
no, not for me to be young.
Too young. Too young. Too young for the camera. Alright. So,
Tsukiyomi, Ami, and Chaos Breaker, and generally, well, right now it would be Theo, and Minerva.
I like Minerva, especially the artist who did Minerva. But we're not gonna do that here.
Tony Taka.
Yes. And for you?
Okay, so my top three. No, actually, the first deck that I ever owned that actually had Perfect Guards was an Aquaforce deck, but it was back when I was combining Naval Gazer and Hydro Hurricane because that was fun to do.
I heard Trial Deck's OP.
That was like the first set of boss monsters I had ever bought at all. That wasn't the very first deck I played. I played like a disgusting vanilla OTT deck that I didn't enjoy. And then I got the trial deck and I put a bunch of Aquaforce cards into it. This is right around when set 11 was released. And so then I learned about this weird break right thing and I'm like, well, nah, that's boring, too slow, I don't like it. So I never played with it. And so I played with that deck for a very long time. And that will probably be my favorite deck because there's no better feeling than using Hydro Hurricane on a Liberator player. It was amazing!
But for the viewers who don't know, what does Hydro Hurricane do?
You use 2 of your counterblasts, 2 of your best men, and you get 4 battles. And when he attacks and he hits the Vanguard, mind you, he's a 10k. But we're not going to talk about that.
It's a 10k Vanguard.
We're not going to talk about that. And he hits the Vanguard, you retire all rear guards.
Wow. All right, audience, did you hear that? Hydro Hurricane, 10k Vanguard, 4th battle,
2 counterblasts.
2 counterblasts. Does it gain power?
+3.
+3.
And when it attacks the Vanguard, +3 as well, so it's a 16k attacker. Yeah, so that was my first deck that if I could get myself to play that, I still would.
Revival Legion for Hydro Hurricane.
Yo!
The real dream. The real dream.
Okay, the second deck that I built that I really loved was Himiko Fortuna because what I could basically back then I'm like, holy cow, you can just keep drive checking until you're content with what you want to drive check, and I'm like, this is amazing! And so I built it expecting a lot more than what the deck was giving me. And so I played that deck in between playing the Aquaforce deck for a really long time, and I found that it wasn't as great as I thought it would be, but it still won me tournaments, and it still was amazing. When you're like, don't like it, Soul Blast, don't like it, Soul Blast, don't like it, Soul Blast. Oh hey, double crit, woo! So
To the path.
sure. Deal. Yeah. And I guess the third deck that I like the most. Yeah, it's an Aquaforce deck.
Does it have Maelstrom in its name?
Yeah, honestly, when Reverse Maelstrom came out, I was a little shaky on it. Like, at first I'm like, why? My clan's not supposed to get reverse. It's freaking amazing. We're supposed to be broken. We don't need this. We're too good to be bad. Okay, but after I got over like this little fangirling period that I'm in mind, I'm like, yo, this card is nuts. 2 crit or you lose your rear guard? I heard you lose either way. Perfect. Let's play.
Win-win situation.
Win-win. Okay, you want to keep perfect guarding? Okay, this is fine. I have all the time in the world.
I will join the dark side of the set. Alright, so let's wrap it up here. Any last remarks or comments? Subscribe to I Am Vanguard.
And if you guys have any thoughts to your own thoughts to questions that we just mentioned, then do feel free to comment down in the section below what you guys thought about the questions. Maybe we'll put in the description as well for you guys to answer as well.
Comment down below.
Yeah.
And I do apologize for no videos. I will try my very best.
Everyone's busy. Everyone's busy.
Don't expect too
I mean,
much.
I've been so busy.
Weiss.
Yeah. So,
Maybe coming soon.
I mean, Joey's gonna handle all the white stuff. I'm gonna do Buddy Fight and Vanguard, and Daniel's gonna do his Genesis.
His Genesis. That's a separate thing. This time Vanguard.
Maybe VX if
Yeah, I really
Maybe
wanna.
ZX.
I really wanna see that. But
Alright.
like always, guys, imagine the victory. I am Vanguard.
Just him.
Just him.
Just this one.
Cat Baller.